Hello, guys, and welcome to week 6 reviews of animation on Fox. You have your typical shows, you have The Simpsons, you have Bob's Burgers, you have Family Guy, and you have Bless the Hearts, all here today for me to review and for you to watch. So, starting with The Simpsons and podcast news. So, podcast news sees Grandpa Abe Simpson get accused of a crime he doesn't commit for murdering of his new elderly girlfriend. And Kent Brockman sort of questions his career, when people start moving to podcasts, because, people think the news is sort of outdated. And I mean, in sort of a way, I think this episode does a really good job on commentary wise. Like, the Simpsons is no stranger to satire and witty commentary throughout its episodes. It's definitely no stranger to that. I mean, we all know South Park is one for current events, but the Simpsons, even though it does take too long, it sort of provides relevance for people's behaviors, whereas South Park sort of is like a satire of like, oh, coronavirus pandemic or the presidential election. But The Simpsons is just like people trends and stuff like that. And that's one thing I sort of like about modern Simpsons is that they tackle things like this. And like, when you tackle something like, oh, people's obsession over podcasts, it leads to, a pretty solid episode in my opinion. So basically, Kent Brockman questions his career, and he turns to the new life of podcast. He comes up with a podcast called Guilty Grandpa because Grandpa's accused of the crime, and he sort of gets so sucked into it, like that it's so popular that he starts making up assumptions and passing it off, as news at first, but then eventually comes to the sense that this isn't news, and he goes back to doing, what he's doing. It's just typical sitcom. And then, of course, Grandpa gets out free. Most of this is all typical sitcom anyways, but it's sort of the delivery here that makes it work, in my opinion. Like, podcast news has some pretty solid, funny jokes, in my opinion. Like, I could probably show you guys at least a few times where I was pretty much laughing.
Did Abe Simpson do it? No one can say for sure. But this story has the makings of a hit crime podcast. Join me as I take a fair and unbiased look on Guilty Grandpa. This has been Kent Brockman, bailing on TV news forever.
This is horrible. What are we gonna do?
I've already subscribed.
Okay, quick. He's in the bathroom, so we only have an hour to talk. Now, on the count of 3, say if you think he's guilty or not. 1, 2, 3.
Not
being
guilty.
honest, I think he's capable of anything, up to and including murder.
You're talking about your own father.
And then I like the direction that this story heads in for the most part. Although I think, even though I like seeing Marge and Lisa sort of bond through podcasts, I think the sort of opening could have been changed a little bit more to sort of just jump right into the thing and sort of have Yeardley Smith's podcast maybe get a mention. But I feel like her cameo was just a waste of time, in my opinion, because it's basically just Lisa's voice as Yeardley Smith. It just felt like a waste of time to me. But you basically take out those two things and you have a pretty solid episode, in my opinion. Like, I think this is definitely probably second or third best of the season, probably second best of the season, in my opinion. I can't say I didn't enjoy this, because I definitely did. And this season's been pretty lukewarm, in my opinion, but I would like to see more episodes like this, at least, because at least I'll be getting something good. And of course I did like this episode very much. I enjoyed it pretty much quite a lot, except for those few cons that I did mention earlier. So now we go on to Bless the Hearts and the McEntire Truth. So the McEntire Truth sees Betty and Crystalynn are at a funeral, and Marjune suddenly pops in and makes up, and Betty and Betty and Crystalynn think that she's making up a sob story, so they team up to take her down by basically going on the car ride with her to her quote-unquote made-up story. Her made-up story, and through the car ride, they basically plan their entire scheme to take her down, but it's sort of kind of funny here because you think that, oh, Marjune's not listening to them, she's driving, even though Betty and Crystalynn are right next to her in the car, and they're talking so loud. So you were kind of sort of wondering if Marjune was sort of hearing them, because you're like, is she like completely tuning them out, or like is she sort of listening and sort of just waiting until she gets there before she reveals it? And they also stop at the pit stop, and Betty and Crystalynn somehow wear disguises and try to get out, but for some reason they're so dumb they hop back on the truck, which is honestly really funny to me.
When we leave this restroom, we have to be two totally different people. How about you wet that toilet paper and use it as a wig?
A white wig like a British judge?
And then I'll squirt that pink soap all over my head like a punk rocker. Whatever we do, we cannot get back in that truck with her. Why did we get back in this truck?
I don't know.
And then and like and and then of course Marjune's sob story ends up being a real town, and everything around it, everything that she says in the sob story actually ends up being real, which I sort of kind of expected that. I mean, I kind of didn't want it to be real, but it was a bit predictable because I kind of like, okay, it's sort of heading in the direction where you think, yeah, it's starting to get predictable, and then like it was kind of disappointing there that it was kind of real, but I sort of expected it, so I really can't say much. It ends up being real. Marjune then points out that, yeah, we're in a small truck together. I heard everything you said, do not know what sound is, and it sort of just ends there. And then the subplot is Jenny and Wayne help Violet and David pass their PE test when they're almost in danger of failing because they don't want to exercise. Even though I think the subplot was sort of funny in some points, I sort of think the characters of Violet and David are sort of kind of out of character because we've seen Violet, even though she doesn't get a lot of screen time, she's not really one to sort of be like this, and especially to her teacher, Mr. Stikeletner. And I mean, I guess it's sort of kind of out of character, but it sort of makes her sort of, it's kind of like in Jenny Unfiltered when they're just sort of teasing Marjune over her appearance. It sort of kind of makes her a little less likable, in my opinion. But I understand that this is a holdover of herself, but at the same time, I feel like it's just a little inconsistencies in her character. And of course, once Jenny, and then of course Violet lies to them and tells them that the PE teachers are being mean to her and stuff. So then Jenny goes down to talk with them, and it all ends up being a lie. So so Jenny makes it her goal to help Violet and David pass their test. And and of course they don't want to do anything. And then when Violet finds out Rocky Horror is coming to Greenpoint, she basically demonstrates her athletic abilities, and Jenny finds out that she only tries when she wants, when something's important or something she cares about. So she sort of puts that into her instruction of helping Violet and David pass their test.
Now, what's all this?
It's called Japanese flower arranging. We have an agreement with Coach Stikelether.
We pursue our interest, and...
That's it. That's the entire agreement. I'm not the same as you guys. My body is different.
Oh, God. Cramp.
Shin splints.
Cramp.
Oh, and my vision is
Medical
blurry.
grade
I have heat
blisters.
stroke. I feel it. My organs are shutting down.
Guys, we're not even to the car yet. Okay, Violet, in over 45 minutes, you did just under 1 push-up.
But we're rounding up, right?
Violet, Violet Hart, you are not gonna give up. You have to at least try.
I don't want to try because when I do, it sucks and it's embarrassing. It's easier to act like things are stupid and you're above them, then people are less likely to tease you about it.
Oh, Violet, I didn't know how much you... What the...
And I mean, they do pass, you know. They do barely pass. And I mean, they were going to pass. It was sort of expected. Uh, I, I would say I did like their freeze frame. I thought that was incredibly funny to me. I just love their freeze frame at the end.
You're doing your own victory freeze frame. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I think this, I think it's Bless the Hearts, you know, sort of, you know, like, well, sort of like, I guess you could say, like, it's just sort of a normal episode that I expect. It's probably a bit disappointing compared to, you know, last week's episode, or not the other week, or even the last holdover, My Best Friend, was certainly a lot better than this, in my opinion. There were, and there were some good references to pop culture here. I did like the reference to Reba's Fancy, and then you also have, you know, the Rocky Horror Picture Show, the Yaz and Erasure. Honestly, I think there's too many. I think there's too many to name. I can probably name a few, but I can't sort of think of it off the top of my head right now. But yeah, I'd say this was a pretty decent, pretty solid episode of Bless the Hearts. So the McEntire Truth is a far cry from one of season 2's best. It's probably one of the worst, but I mean, I think it's still relatively funny in my opinion. The main story is sort of you know, is sort of intriguing until sort of the ending, and subplot is sort of fine. I thought there was maybe a few funny moments, but you know, other than that, it was just mostly which mostly really brought down the episode for me. I started to think I was a little too generous on it, but you know, I think I'll give it the benefit of the doubt, considering the fact that I did like last week's episode, Pound Fingers, more than when I reviewed it. So now on we go with Bob's Burgers and Bob Belcher and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad kids, also known as the 200th episode. And the 200th episode of Bob's Burgers, I will say it was really good. It exceeded my expectations. I thought the 200th episode was, you know, not gonna be so good because, you know, it had to live up to episode 100, which was Glued, Where's My Bob? And of course, Glued, Where's My Bob? While not my favorite episode, Glued, Where's My Bob is easily top 10 in the entire series for me. Because of just how it turns a sort of mundane-ish plot into like something really funny and good. And you know, like, it's something that it was just so weird, but it ended up being so great at the same time. I mean, I definitely think this episode is really good. It doesn't come nearly as close to being as good as Glued, Where's My Bob? But no biggie. I mean, I still really enjoyed 200th episode. So 200th episode sees the Belchers restaurant burned down after all the kids think that they played a part in the fire. Actually, before the fire, Hugo ends up visiting them earlier and throws all of Bob's flammable stuff around and refuses to pick it up. Then they go to bed for his inspection. He passes. Then they go to sleep, and they find out that the building that the ground floor is on fire. They go downstairs and find out that it burned. Each of the Belcher kids sort of share a song of why they think that it was their fault. And then, you know, because of that, sort of Bob is kind of sort of frustrated, but at the same time, he's not like truly mad at them.
Oh, yeah, I left Mom's old crimping iron plugged in, and I guess it set the restaurant on fire? I'm really, really sorry.
Oh my God, that was not great of you, Gene, but it's gonna be fine. But why did you do that? Terrible, bad. I mean, I'm glad you told us, but why did you do that? Sorry, but it'll be okay. Maybe. Probably not.
All our fault, we set the restaurant on fire. It's all our fault, everything went haywire.
I'm really sorry.
What's wrong with all of you? Nope, I didn't mean that. It's okay. Oh, thanks, Tina, for telling us.
I've never seen an episode where Bob was like truly ever mad at his kid, and I'm not saying that that's not a bad thing, because it's not. Each parent is certainly different, and you've seen, in King of the Hill where it's been proved that Hank gets angry at Bobby all the time, but Hank compared to Bob, like Hank has like you would say maybe Hank has sort of anger issues that Bob doesn't. So like I'm just comparing through it because each parent is different, and I mean I would understand why Bob didn't want to lose his cool because he's not like that, but all this damage to the restaurant sort of makes him feel a little indifferent towards it. I definitely think a lot of this episode was really funny in my opinion. I liked seeing Teddy coming to help the Belchers.
God, Linda, kids, oh my God, Linda, give me a hug.
No.
Come on.
Uh-huh.
I thought I lost you there, bud. Let me look at you. Kids, there you are. Linda, all the stuff we almost never got to say.
We're okay, Teddy. Wait, what? Wow, you're breathing really hard.
I ran here.
From your house?
No, from my truck. It's parked out in the alley. I'm just in really bad shape.
Well, thanks for coming. Sorry we called you so early. We can't start the grill, and we were thinking maybe you could fix it like really soon. Please?
I don't want to let go. I don't want to lose you,
I know, but it seems like it'll be hard for you to fix the grill if you're also still hugging us.
Shh, just a little longer.
Okay, grill, I'm really sorry for what we're about to do. Here's the thing. We're gonna put this other grill on top of you to cook. It might feel weird, but it's not long term. But you can't get hot right now. You're gonna get better soon, though. I know it. Just shut your eyes. Daddy, let's just do it.
I'm crying over here.
I liked the direction it goes into with the kids leaving to go get another one of Bob's something Bob needs for his girl. I don't know what it's called. And they find out, and they go through every business to see if they have one, but they don't. And then they find a restaurant that has one. Then they threaten to break in, but they can't. But Louise, sort of like we've seen in previous episodes that Louise does. Says she's going to do things like prank you for being a friend, where she is going to come up with this elaborate scheme, but she ends up not going through with it, or and prank you for being a friend. She sort of can't go through with it. So she's about to grab a brick and break the window of the restaurant that has that tool that Bob needs, but she ends up not going through with it, and she ends up just leaving a note there instead. The kids come back, sort of depressed that they can't save the restaurant and that Bob should disown them. But Bob, of course, he says he can't. And surprisingly, the owner of the restaurant that Louise left the note comes and she happily gives it to them because she says. Because they left a note.
Dear Shrimp Lady, we're sorry we broke your window. Our dad needs your thermocouple. We set our restaurant on fire and ruined his grill. He's a great dad and a great cook. Sometimes he smells weird, but we're used to it. We promise we'll be back in a few days with the thermocouple and money to pay for a new window. Good luck with the shrimps, we're sorry. Long note.
Yeah, it came up.
You've got some good kids here. I wanted you to know that. And I wanted to bring you this.
The thermocouple.
We don't open for a month. It's all yours. Go nuts.
Wow, that is really nice. Thank you.
And of course, while I would say this episode wasn't as good as Where's My Bob, it's definitely more indicative of the show's heart to heart. Of course, with the note being read and all, and it definitely shows that the kids really care because they're going out of their way to sort of do this. So I'd say this episode is more indicative of the show's heart-to-heart moments with its characters, and that's really what helped the episode sort of excel in that final act. And there's also the building tension of Bob replacing his grill. You also have Hugo coming back to apologize because he was actually the one that started the fire, but Ron has to sort of apologize for him because Hugo's sort of half-assing it, like admitting it wasn't his fault. And the episode sort of ends on a pretty good note. I mean, while it was sort of predictable that it was going to end up on a good note, the delivery of this episode was really, really good in my opinion. And really, the only con I really had with this was that I feel like it just sort of took a little. It started a little bit slow in my opinion, and I guessing maybe some parts weren't all that funny, but I mean, it didn't have to be a laugh fest to be great like it is now. Really, the only thing that needed to be fixed was sort of get to the actual conflict soon enough because this episode sort of took a while to get going. So, 200th episode of Bob's Burgers, Bob and his very bad kids was probably easily the best. Well, I mean, if you compare it to, last week's episode, Fast Time Capsules, this sort of slightly edges over it because, it's more indicative of the show's heart, and that's what really got to me, and the delivery of this episode and how centric it keeps with one plot allows for the pacing to be incredibly well, even if it does start a bit slow. I would recommend this episode to any person who loves Bob's Burgers, or even someone else who has never seen an episode of Bob's Burgers and so they sort of want to get into the show because it does use its main plot to get through every Belcher every Belcher is being used to their best in this episode because of the one plot and the family centric theme, and I really like this episode. And I can't believe, after 200 episodes, the quality of Bob's Burgers is still really good to me. Like the worst season, in my opinion, was season 1. So, for the show to keep this consistent, like Family Guy did not keep this consistent 11 seasons, not even close. Neither did American Dad. That show started declining around season 10. I mean, you would say Bob started declining after season 8, but I mean, the decline is still barely noticeable. Whereas American Dad, it was just a steady drop to immediate rock bottom. Same with Family Guy, and I mean, yeah, and Simpsons season 11 wasn't good. So yeah, I'm really impressed with this show. Keep it up. And finally, we have Family Guy and Megs Wedding. So Meg's Wedding sees Meg get married to, the unlikeliest of who would marry her in Quahog. And then Peter loses his arms at a concert and has small wedged arms replaced into him. So I'm going to start with the subplot first. I hated it. It was not good. Literally it would have been the same if he had normal hands. I would say one positive thing about it was that it sort of was there with the main, but it sort of didn't really derail it into a point where I originally thought that Peter was sort of gonna ruin it, and then that would destroy the whole episode because I haven't been all that looking forward to episodes about Meg. I used to, but after Better Off Meg, I'm sort of questionable about episodes like that because that episode was probably one of the worst ever made in my opinion. I was originally indifferent about it at first, but now I really don't like that episode at all. And it's very wrong for a lot of reasons. But at least Meg's Wedding is not nearly as bad as that. It's not good. It's not good, that's for sure. Because the entire first act is just a bunch of jokes with almost zero story, zero plot, and maybe I'd say 20% of those jokes work. I could maybe think of a few off the top of my head that maybe work. And then you also have, and then second act starts to pick up with Meg being lonely. She can't find a date. and then Bruce starts being nice to her, and then, they sort of go out on a date. But, the entire family knows that Bruce is gay, and Meg is sort of, oblivious to the situation, but, she thinks they're going to get married anyways. And then it turns out that, Bruce was only planning to marry Meg because, he wanted to impress his parents, and, his parents didn't want to think he's gay. And, except for Peter just saying stupid stuff all the time, because honestly, that is really annoying. It's not funny. Like, he says a lot of stupid stuff during, like sort of like moments like these, and it sort of really turns it off. Like in Thanksgiving, when like when Joe's son Kevin and him are having a talk about Joe he was planning to do the thing that he thought was right, and even though he let the criminal go for stealing an item from a grocery store because he just wanted to feed his family. But Joe thought that it's only one can, it's not that big of a deal, this guy's homeless, he needs to feed his family. Joe thought what he did, Joe, he believed in what he thought was right, and even though Joe didn't agree with his son, he because of that he couldn't really stop him, because that would make him a hypocrite. And of course Peter has to insert a stupid comment, and it sort of ruins it. And here, like when Meg allows Bruce to marry his real boyfriend, it's really ruined by Peter just saying a bunch of stupid comments like that. And I honestly didn't like the throwback they made to Peter's daughter, because Lois can't say "I love you, Meg." And honestly, that sort of irritated me, because I understand that Family Guy is sort of a sketch comedy, but to the point where these characters are completely different versions of themselves sometimes really pisses me off. And even though you think they toned down on it, I feel like hating Meg is sort of the blood of modern Family Guy nowadays. And honestly, I can understand why people don't like modern Family Guy because of that. And I don't like modern Family Guy either because of that. But I think the third act was pretty decent for what it was. It sort of has, I don't know if you can say it was heartwarming, because it kind of was and it kind of wasn't at the same time, because you sort of kind of expect it, and then Family Guy sort of has these half-ass, "Oh Lois, I'm sorry I did this," and they try to make it heartwarming when they hug. And, I honestly don't buy it anymore nowadays. And then of course Peter saying stupid stuff. And yeah, but anyways, I've been a little too negative. Some positives were third act was decent. I would say that it wasn't good, but I didn't think it was awful. I mean, yeah, the pacing is pretty bad, but it's Family Guy, so can I really put that at fault?
So, Meg's boyfriend. Interesting choice.
Yeah. I know Joe has Cheez-Its. I saw him eating them earlier. Where the hell are they?
You're not gonna find them. I was eating a bunch of them, and I jokingly said, "Bonnie, hide these." And she did. She hides my food so I don't get bored like a zoo polar bear. Good luck. They could be anywhere.
Peter, I'm sorry. I'm just not okay with our daughter marrying someone who is clearly gay.
You're starting to sound an awful lot like your own mother.
This isn't going to be good for either of them.
Lois, let me ask you something. What's the best case scenario for someone like Meg? Dying alone in a lighthouse? Maybe Bruce changed. And either way, Meg's happy for once. I say we go with it. It's gonna be all right.
No, it's not gonna be all right. It's never gonna be all right again if they go through with this. Peter, we gotta do...
Get a hold of yourself, woman. She's coming downstairs.
Well, there's the bride-to-be.
Oh, hey, Mom.
Listen, Meg, I was hoping we could put all this behind us.
I'd like that.
That's better.
All I can say was this is a very meh sort of episode. It's definitely better than last week, though. That's for sure. I do not want to see another episode of last week. But next week is guest star Sam Elliott and Adam West Adam West's cousin coming to, possibly be the new mayor of Quahog. And I am definitely looking forward to that because, Family Guy is a not very continuity show, and I would like to see that. So Meg's Wedding is a very episode to me. It's not bad, but it's definitely not good. Well, I did appreciate the sort of having Bruce finally, sort of come out in the show because, it's sort of something they haven't really done before because it's sort of something, it sort of adds sort of to his character. And then you have some funny jokes, but, it's mostly derailed by bad characters, bad timing of gags and jokes, and then the entire first act is just stupid. So yeah, I would say I would say I liked it more than other people, but I wouldn't say I entirely liked it because I didn't think it was good at all, but it certainly isn't nearly as awful as some of the other episodes we've gotten, like the premiere was pretty bad. Then you got Boys and Squirrels and La Famiglia, which both were really, really bad. And then you got Better Off Meg, which was like totally despicable. So, I mean, this episode is an improvement from those, but that's not really saying much. So yeah, there's my reviews on Animation on Fox. It's really not that much this week. I didn't really have much to say about the episodes. I'm guessing if you wanted me to rank them, then it'd be Bob's Burgers, The Simpsons, Bless the Hearts, Family Guy. I really like Bob's Burgers episode. Keep it up. Simpsons was sort of pretty solid too. Bless the Hearts was a bit disappointing for that show, and then Family Guy was disappointing as well. But I'm guessing I sort of kind of expected it. I expected it to be worse, but it is what it is. So anyways, I want to know what you thought in the comments below, and of course, share your thoughts, like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you guys next time.